So, as you may have noticed, it's been a while since I made a video, and I would have to first say I apologize to those who've been following me and supporting me and praying for me. I have no excuse other than I made a lot of bad choices after Easter. Say, yes, I'm very disappointed in myself because I know I can do better and I should do better. But I also want to look at this in a realistic and hopeful manner. And I think it's a good thing to be able to show that, you know what, in the progress of life and trying to achieve your goals, you're going to fail multiple times, and this is one of the big ones. And it was a big failure, but I do still have hope, and I'm still encouraged and motivated to keep moving forward. And I look forward to showing you my plans of being able to achieve the goals and the various ways that I'll change moving on in the future. And by grace, mercy, and faith, I will achieve the goals that I set out and will be able to show everyone this path that is amazing and well worth it, even when you do fall down and have a little shame for messing up. So, for what happened, pretty much confession time, I did well during Lent, was able to keep majority of the penances that I've made. However, as soon as Easter hit, went to a house party and pretty much just lost my mind at that point. Took in too many jello shots. The food was amazing and the environment was good. It was a good environment. However, I lost self-control, and then it was pretty much, oh, I can push back the other plans or doing my good habits to later on, pretty much taking like a vacation from doing the things that I knew I should do. That pretty much led to a really bad habit forming process that I lost 2 weeks. And through that, I also lost pretty much all my fun money that was spent on food, alcohol, and pretty much other things. There were some things I bought that I really needed, but the other things I'm just like, okay, cool. Spent so many months saving up this money for vacations and traveling in the future and being able to cover different things, and I spent it all without really thinking about it, the various consequences. And along with those 2 weeks, I pretty much didn't go to the gym, didn't work out, didn't watch my diet, so gained a lot of weight back that I worked to take off. And now it's not that I think that thankfully my mindset's still good in that I don't think I'm ugly. It's just that I'm not proud of my body of where it's at because I know what it is possible to look like and be able to do, and what it feels like to not have this extra weight on me. But what I can say through this whole process is I realized what my true deep addiction is, and something that I have to work on, and I think is something very common in a lot of people, especially here in the US, is an addiction to comfort that pretty much got to a level of being an idol. In essence, I care more about feeling comfortable than I do about my progress or doing the right thing. And it's something I have to actually look at and be like, okay, let's focus on this and move on. Because if I keep choosing comfort, I'm going to be hella uncomfortable in general and not satisfied with my life. So what were the direct consequences for pretty much these bad decisions? Well, first, and probably the biggest one, was loss of my good habit routine. I became lazy and lost all the habits such as stretching in the morning, prayers, etc., that helped build up and set me in the right mindset for the day, was lost and gone. And next thing you know, I'm just laying on the couch drinking alcohol or eating food that I ordered via DoorDash, watching dramas, and pretty much just lost the day. And as I mentioned before, with the increased eating and increased drinking and lack of activity, that resulted in me losing muscle, gaining fat, and in general increasing my weight, which I really never cared about numbers, but I do care about looks, and I was able to see the regression of the progress that I have made. But I also noticed how I was not feeling as good or active and everything, and felt the weight lying on me, and it started affecting my mental health to a degree because alcohol is a depression and bring up other sadness that got to a point that I didn't even care about my crush anymore, or I didn't even want to see him, which is completely opposite from what I truly want. And again, one other consequence is I have a reserve travel fund, which was completely destroyed. And that was about $800 ish that I spent 2 to 3 months building up, gone in 2 weeks on things that really did not matter much or provide much. Yes, I was able to get some things that I wanted and be able to enjoy myself, which is part of the process, but not to such a degree that it didn't provide memories or fulfill me in the ways I was hoping that it would. It wasn't true comfort or satisfaction. It was just dulling the numbness that I felt in an odd way. It's kind of like just spending money to escape from the current situation rather than celebrating the successes that I made, which was the whole point of the fund. And in the end, all that I really achieved from this treat myself mentality of 2 weeks where I put the feelings of the moment, it resulted in just disappointment in myself and the progress of how things went. So I would have to say that treat yourself is a dangerous mentality if used way too much. So now I'm at a point in the road where I have to decide. Do I just quit my New Year's resolution and my goals like many other people do? Or do I just say, okay, I fell down, I fucked up, let's try this again? And this is usually a make or break point for a lot of people. It's not whether you're going to fail eventually, and that's how you know you're making progress, at least you're falling forward. So for me, I'm choosing to try again. Even if it's from square one and it sucks, it's better than where I was. So the first step in pretty much recovery of momentum is, what did I learn from these various experiences and what are the various tools that I had? One thing that I do have now that I didn't have when I started this in January and all the other times is the lessons I've learned. I know my weaknesses, but I also know my strengths. I know what motivates me. I know what drives me. I know what to look out for. I know the people who can help me out when I do need to have that moment, and being able to schedule and adapt to those situations. So the lessons learned and the mindset and mentality is the biggest and greatest tool that I have. And of course, growing in faith and learning to let go, understand I'm not doing this by myself. I'm walking with God, who is guiding me and moving me and pushing me forward. Though I am stubborn and will be tripping along the way, I know that in the end, as long as I keep going, it'll be okay. That goes to step 2, in essence, is complete reliance on God. And understanding it's kind of like AA, where you have to depend on a higher power. So if you're not religious, I understand, and it's whatever so if you're not religious, it's whatever higher authority or higher power or internal aspect that you don't have to be in control of everything, that you can let go of things and know that it'll be okay in the end. For me, because of my belief in God, I know that I don't have control over anything. All I have to do is focus on the day at hand with a task at hand and have complete reliance on God, and knowing I'm not that strong. It's not about me. It's about fulfilling the will of God. And pretty much it's going back to the whole living day by day, dreaming of the future, and hoping for and living in hope of the future, but focusing on the day at hand and being able to recognize the gifts and blessings of that moment. And also just knowing that, hey, all I have to do is take care of the task for today or this hour, which makes things a lot easier and less stressful, and you don't have to worry about as much as you usually do. And of course, to do that, it's pretty much constant prayer. For me, the way that I try to do is I try to pray first thing in the morning before I even get out of bed, and last thing I do before I fall asleep. And I try to pray in the middle of the day. I'm definitely not perfect about that, but try to pick some time in the afternoon or middle of the time that I'm awake, so that way it brings me back to center after a whole bunch of things happen, to pretty much remind myself I'm not God. Another thing that I'm doing is moving a lot of my April goals to May. So April was a very informative month, I guess is the best way, but it's also somewhat of a lost month because I did spend so much time pretty much doing nothing. So pretty much just kicking the goals over to the left or right, whichever way people prefer, but kicking those goals down the line so that way I can achieve them and understand that luckily it's not going to mess up my year-long goals, but it's just going to extend the timeline for some of them. And the other thing that I'm going to be implementing to be able to ensure higher chances of success this round will be having accountability partners. I have 2 friends who pretty much I can call on to call me out if I start going down the wrong path and everything, which is important because you know what? I will know how to lie to myself and everything, but I can't lie to the others when they see no results or actions that are going counter to what it is that I want to do. And on a YouTube aspect, what I'm going to be trying to do, and it's not going to be as fancy as this video, but just weekly update videos of, hey, this is what I had test out for the week, this is what I've accomplished, here are interesting things that happened along the way. So much more interactive and journalistic in a way rather than what I have been doing. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully through this process of accountability and continuing putting responsibility and my ego on the line, I'll be able to keep pushing forward, or at least being able to open up to a degree to make further progress than I have been doing. I have to say that right now my motivation is fueled by hope of the future, that it will be so much better than what it is now. Don't get me wrong, I do love my life right now and I'm very grateful for everything that I have, but I do have hope for better, something that will be more fulfilling and just exciting in my point of view. Also, I'm fueled by faith that it will happen, that I just have to follow along this path, and even though there will be struggles on the way, it's going to be okay and it will work in the end. Let's say, it's kind of like one of those things where God said that no weapon fashioned will work or succeed over you. However, just like any war, sometimes you're going to lose a battle. Because the war is promised a victory doesn't mean that you're not going to suffer some defeats along the way. The other thing that drives me and motivates me is my desire for having that life that I would find completely fulfilling, where I can say, yes, this is what is meant for me. This is what I'm called to do. Also, I have to recognize, I can't say 100% for sure that I know I will succeed or I will go where I set my goals to and everything, but all I do know is that by following this path, at least I will be in a different place from where I am now. And the chances of me being happier with wherever I do end up is higher than the chances of me being satisfied or happy where I am right now. Which, again, it's more I'm content, I'm okay with where I'm at right now, but I can't say I'm happy and joyful for where I am. And I would have to say also that all of this is an act of faith and trust in God, that He will guide me throughout this whole process and will lead me to a place that is going to be amazing, a way of life that will bring joy, fullness, peace, comfort, and hopefully help others along the way by living out this act of faith that you can all see and be like, okay, let me give this a shot, or be able to interact and move in your own way that God calls you to. Thank you again for following me, and I once again want to apologize for not being as consistent as I should be. I will be definitely working on that, and hopefully I won't have to apologize again for my lack of consistency. Till the next video, which should be next week, be blessed, keep moving forward, and know you got this.